And welcome to the next video in the series. I'm going to handheld this whole thing because Leslie is not available. So a lot of this you will see with me behind the camera, but you're not here for this. So if you followed the Blackmagic Design Buyer's Guide series and you've paid attention when it comes to switches and cameras, in this studio it all comes to play, and you will actually see some video hubs and the benefits of this. When I planned this place, I wanted it to be the workflow Garden of Eden. Sit down, make a video, set up in 5 minutes, record, tear it all down in 5 minutes, go and start editing, but not too much because you've done the editing on the fly. Now, everything, of course, is centered around Blackmagic Design. This is overkill. This is a lot of money. This is a dedicated house. This is too much for YouTube, depending on the level that you're operating at. Like my friend Carlos Asensio, hey Carlos, is buying a house right now in Seville to do just this, but the guy's got 4 million subs. He can justify that. Can I justify that? No. Do I like the workflow? Yes. So in your journey as a content creator, if at some point you want to do a volume of videos in high quality, efficiently, this might be where you're going. And you buying your first little ATEM switcher and your first camera from Blackmagic Design later on will pay off because you already have invested in that ecosystem. So here we are in the studio, and there are 4 cameras in the front, 1 camera up there. I can easily have 2, 3 more within minutes, and I'll show you how and why. Now, we've got panels right there from Cameo. That is the IP, the something 2 IP and the 4 IP. Absolutely amazing. And I can actually, this is the cool new thing that we did here, control all the lighting with the DMX switcher and go to presets. So for example, there are 2 big lights right there. They're pix bars doing the backwash, and there's actually 2 more spots, 1 there and 1 here, doing a little bit of a highlight on the wall. So if I wanted to change the whole look of the room, so I could go to turquoise, and here's the view of the room. I can go blue, purple, gold, which we had for the videos because that's Blackmagic's logo. And I can easily go back to the one we just had. So it is possibly overkill to have this, but I have dim for the different lights here. So when Leslie sits here setting up colors and setting up camera parameters, she can actually control the lighting from in here, which makes a lot of sense. Okay, that's so much for the lighting. The cameras in here are 3 Studio Camera 4K Pros. The cameras in here are 3 4K Studio Camera Pros, the G1 version, not the G2. They came up with G2 right after. So here you can see camera 1, there's camera 2, and there's camera 3. And we just added the Plus G2, which Sweetwater was nice enough to send. And this is now one of the closer zooming in cams. I've got a 45mm on there. This is a 15. I think we got a 25 here. It's one of those very cheap lenses, but they're great. And you can see another 25 here. They're very inexpensive, and I recommend having a bunch of those. So, of course, we could have camera people behind these cameras with a zoom demand and a focus demand. Zoom demand wouldn't really do anything because we don't have zoom lenses, but a focus demand would be cool. And then you have a camera person, operating this, which you easily could. Talk back, all of this, but we don't. We don't have camera people. Talkback, of course, would go in here, and I have the ability to actually put XLR in here and use these as kind of audio interfaces into the switcher if I wanted to. And with 3 of them, that would give me 6 channels, which I could route digitally to the video file on individual channels. But I'm actually doing that with the ATEM microphone converter. You can put hard drives on there or the zoom demand stuff. So the way that this camera is connected, you can see it's just 1 cable. This is just an Ethernet cable going to the studio converter, which I'll show you later. And that enables remote control, video out, and power, and even if I wanted to, a second video signal to the camera, which I think then can grab from the HDMI for a teleprompter or whatever. Super well thought out. So this cable is loosely hanging here, and there's a bundle which I can open, which means I can position the camera anywhere in the room, which is very convenient. And then it's going through my truss system. Trust me, everything, as you can see, is hanging from the truss. And now this cable is going up there into the ceiling, through the attic, and comes down in the control room. So I've got actually no cable on the floor. I mean, very, very little. There are some cables on the floor, but for 4 cameras, this is actually all audio. The actual cameras, 1 cable from this. Because the Plus doesn't have this ability, we're running 2 SDI cables in and out and power, so this is a little bit more cabled up, and those are going into the patch bay there. We've got another Pro going into a studio converter with Ethernet, and again, bundled up there, so the camera is movable in the room with simply 1 cable. We also have power everywhere, so if I wanted to, at 4 or 5 points in the room, I can plug in power. Let's talk about the patch bay. This camera is going into S1, which means Studio 1. The top camera is going into Studio 2, and you can see I still have 2 open slots here. And these are going with SDI cables from Klotz, thank you Klotz, through the attic into the control room. And there on the video hub, digital router, I can actually say where they go on the switcher or even somewhere else. Here we've got some outputs. There's a program output which is being duplicated with a 4K distributor, and we have 3 more outputs right there which are being used for sending program to the cameras so that they have remote control. Having something like this installed, trust me, makes your workflow so much faster. I can take one of those Canon cameras that have SDI, any SDI camera, turn it on, plug it in, and within seconds, I've got another camera connected. Very convenient, but of course requires planning, and you're gonna somehow have to pay for it, sadly. I have ready to go converters. If I needed to go HDMI to SDI, there's 2 more, or the other way around, and everything, of course, in 4K. There's lenses, there's another converter, mint in box, and there are power supplies and cables and maybe SDI and stuff like this. This is for guitar. That's not interesting to anyone watching for cameras. So this is the actual studio room. Now we're going to move into the control room. I'm very happy with the diagonal table. If you're interested in that, we actually have a video where you see us building the table and what we do there. So on the left side, I have drawers. Drawers are very important. I have power going out, so you can quickly plug in a converter, a camera, anything you need, quickly plug it in without pulling out power strips from anywhere. These are Sennheiser EWDs, so those are wireless systems, and if I have someone in there and I need a lav mic, all I do is pull it out from this drawer, turn it on, and Bob's your uncle, we're done. It automatically is, or even a handheld mic, automatically is wired into this PreSonus mixer. Pull it up and then determine where it goes. Either gets recorded on the mixer or gets recorded on the Mac or gets sent to one of the MADI inputs on the ATEM panel. So I can, for example, go to MADI 3 and you can see that's actually where the shotgun mic goes. And that way I can go on an individual track on my video file, and later on my video file have individual audio tracks. The ATEM microphone converter also has an HDMI out, and you can actually see on this little Atomos screen that the shotgun mic in there is actually being sent to channel number 3, and you can monitor the levels. You can actually add more channels and cascade those microphone converters if you so choose. But I, of course, only use the recording on the audio stuff on here as a backup. I do record on the Mac in the capture software from PreSonus. You could even record also on the mixer. So if you look at this here, we got 2 speakers which are connected to the main outs of the Studio Live, so we're not monitoring the ATEM, which I could, but I like to depend on something a little bit more complex when it comes to audio routing. We have a dedicated screen for program and one for multi-view. I could very easily flip those around. That's not written in stone because I do have a video hub. We're gonna do separate videos about the video hubs right there, where I can digitally say what goes where, very, very easily. I could put a single camera on there if I so choose. So what else do we have here? I've got an Atomos Connect, so I could actually go live with that at any given point in time. If I wanted to, of course, I can go live directly from here. I don't really have the internet in this house yet, so no live there. But what I do here, that allows me to do H.265 recording, compressed files, which is nice. It also, if you look at it, I don't know if you can see this, output is HD P25. This is down converting to HD so that I have a signal that I can put into my wireless video transmission systems, because sometimes it has to go across the street from my YouTube event and end up in the garden over there. And so I can put my Hollyland or whatever it is system right onto an SDI output from there, and this is doing down conversion. Because this does not have any down converted outputs. The ATEM 4ME that I have in the other studio has a down converted output, but this doesn't. So if I want to have an HD signal, even though I'm running 4K, I need to use something like this. So I use it to record H.265. I use it to down convert, and also you can see it is right now on focus peaking. Would be nice if they did focus peaking in the switches, but they don't. And so the cool thing is, as Leslie is setting up cameras, she can go here and actually, when she's focusing, use it to look at my eyes or something, and then use the focus peaking right here. So that is very convenient, because when you look at the big screen, there is, of course, no focus peaking. We have a video assist right there, and that's being used HDMI in from the Mac. So the Mac sees it as a separate screen where it mirrors its main monitor. So I'm going HDMI in and SDI out into the video hub, and from the video hub into the switcher. And on the switcher, I have a dedicated button that says Mac. So the Mac screen, through the Blackmagic Video Assist, gets converted to an SDI signal in the correct frame rate and all that. And then look at that. And that means I can actually have a mask on, which could show me main, which is, of course, not focused now. Let's do that quickly, because with the panel it's really fast. So right now I could do software tutorials with me, picture in picture, and the picture in picture can actually switch between different inputs. You can do that as long as you're in the key menu on that key, then this row of buttons actually becomes whatever you have in the picture in picture. Very nice. And getting the Mac in there is super easy. I could even have this Mac and the Mac from the other office in here if I so choose. Really not very complicated, actually, which I will show you in a sec. So this is for converting the Mac to SDI. This is to show audio levels from the microphone converter. This is for down convert, H.265 recording, and focus peaking. Here we've got a multi-view. This is the way we like to have it set up, with preview on the left and program on the right. We got 6 cameras visible right now, and then we can see the internal hard drive and then some audio. Of course, if you need more cameras, this has 8 inputs, we can show them there as well. So in here we have now total camera control with iris, pedestal, gain, focus, everything you want, even full audio control. If I go to levels, levels, bank, there's my XLR, RCA, and my 4 MADIs. Again, this is just backup. Of course, there is a Mac. I bought the cheapest thing that I could find, which is a Mac Mini M2. to run the software, to run the capture software from PreSonus, to run the Video Hub software. And from here, because we're connected with Ethernet, I can open Video Hub, select Video Hub, and now I'm in the one that's in this room. And you can see all the sources and all the destinations. The destinations are the ATEM, for example. So if on the ATEM in 7, right now that's connected to the S3 in the studio, so on the patchway that you just saw. If I want to plug in a camera right here where I'm sitting, okay, I'm going to go in here, and it's not going to be S3, it's going to be C1, which is control room 1. And then whatever is plugged into this cable right there, C1, will show up on input number 7 on the switcher. No changing cables necessary. Either just plug in right there, or use the cable that's already hanging right here. But I want to have an extra output. There's a C out. So I'm going to go to destinations, to studio, to office, to control room, there. And right now that's showing program. If I want to see a separate camera there, let's say to record it or whatever, I can route it right here. And this is also connected to, with cables in the attic to the other room. So actually down here you can see the 3 Ethernet cameras, 2 cam 1, 2 cam 2, 2 cam 3. So I can say what goes there. And also on return 2, on the main cam, I can determine what comes out of the HDMI out of that camera. The HyperDecks that are in the rack right here are also, of course, connected. Obviously, I'm recording program out on this HyperDeck, but I don't have to. If I want to record a camera separately, I can record it on a HyperDeck if I wanted to. There are the studio converters that we talked about. All the ins and outs are hooked up in the back, and these are giving power, program, a second return if I wanted to, and remote. So it's all right there. These are pricey, a little bit too pricey if you ask me, but they allow you to do this Ethernet only operation, which if you're actually running a van, showing up somewhere, setting up cameras with one cable is amazing. This is, of course, the Video Hub, 20 ins, 20 outs. They're all full, but I couldn't afford the 40, which I would have liked here. So, but right now you can see all the cameras and ins and outs and screens. For example, there's a studio screen that's the main screen in the studio. That shows program. So if I go to that, it shows program. But it could show any individual camera. It could show the Mac. And let's see if it does. Oh, look, it worked. It shows the Mac. So if someone is sitting here and they have to talk about their website or whatever, we could easily show them that, and they could read off a script, use it as a teleprompter. Many, many, many options. So this is all doable completely without changing cables. And I can go, select Video Hub, to the 12x12 hub in the editing suite. And I can actually, let's see if I can pull that off. So now, just with digital patching, I connected the Mac that is 3 rooms over. So back to the 12x12. I said on O1, which is Office 1, on that line, I want to see the Mac. Now I switched over to the 20x20 Video Hub, and on input 7, I've got O1. You don't have to understand that, but look at this. Apparently, the Mac's in screensaver. So we got the Mac here, and the other Mac. So you could have a picture-in-picture Mac if you wanted that. Yeah, 2 Macs picture-in-picture. So this is how easy that is if you actually think about your setup and are crazy enough to do it. Obviously in here I can grab a hard drive, plug it in, format it, record. When I'm done, pull it out and go to my studio and edit, or go into the editing suite. So let's pretend we're doing that, okay? Okay. Right here. So what you saw was this. And through the magic of the 2 video hubs, I'm now seeing the program view from the studio, which is convenient if people are actually sitting here, clients, whatever, and they want to see what is being switched. That way they're not in the way. We get them out of our feet and they can still follow what's being recorded. Now, if you're working in the editing suite here to actually do some video editing, you might not need to see that. You might want to have another nice big screen for the Mac. So, Video Hub. TV is showing control room. We don't want that. TV is showing Mac. Bam, done. TV is showing Mac. And then you go and swivel the monitor over. This is, of course, all, by the way, in 4K. Bam, swivel the monitor over and have a nice extra screen. You could also show on the screen an actual output of what you're editing from Final Cut using the Ultra Studio 4K Extreme, which gives you all the inputs and outputs with Thunderbolt 2. So here's my hard drive, workflow, bam, there's my files now that I can access on the Mac very easily. No connections, no connectors necessary. Plug it in, go. And above it is the 12x12 Video Hub. I can very easily plug in any camera with SDI or of course a converter right there. Those are the office inputs. So I can put 4 cameras in this room and film in here, have them going into the control room and switch from there. There's also a separate out. So in here, I could set up cameras, which we have, do a podcast, do whatever, but still control it from the control room. And it's a setup, you know, half an hour, bam, you have another video studio, and then tear it down in 10 minutes. That is the general idea. And again, Video Hub, I can control the one here, but I could also, if I wanted to, control the one in the other room. If I now wanted to route something else to the TV, for example. So let's do this. Right now we're seeing the Mac. So we're changing that to control room. And right now this is program. But maybe I don't want to see program. Maybe I want to see a specific camera. So let's go to Office. It's in program. Let's say I want to see camera 2. And now we're seeing camera 2 here. I might even see the Mac from over there. Yep, that's the Mac from the control room. I know this is all crazy, but any idea I have, I want this picture in picture, oh, another website here. I want to have someone sitting in this room explaining something while I do my main video, and in the end I don't have to edit anything. Everything is done live edited. It's all possible if you think about your setup. If you are crazy enough to do some holes, let's not talk about money. Obviously things cost money, but with Blackmagic Design, it is as cost effective as you could ever be. No other company is going to rival that. If you look at options, they will be more expensive. And in this place, I feel it's a Lego land of, oh, I want to do this, let's put this camera here, let's get this camera, plug it in, bam, have another angle, and just work effectively and hammer out video after video that nobody wants to watch. That's this setup, and I feel I've bored you enough. Animals at the end.